Hi everybody, my name is Dr. Erica Ellis. I'm a mindfulness-based clinical psychologist, and I'm here to talk to you guys today about mind, body, brain issues. I want to follow up on our video podcast from last month on neuroplasticity, and one of the things that emerged from that talk had to do with why we can't unlearn these beliefs, emotions, traumatic memories, why we can't just get rid of them. And what we found out is that you can't unlearn things, you can only learn new things. And that the nature of plasticity and change in the brain is predicated on learning new things and then strengthening those new circuits over and over again. So today, I want to turn to our memory systems to understand these pesky kind of resilient memories and experiences a bit deeper. Because this comes up a lot in my practice. People come in and they say, you know, I have crappy self-esteem, and if I could just get over that, everything would be fine, you know, or I have this trauma from my childhood and it kind of takes me over and I just want to get rid of it. Why can't we just, sort of magic wand get rid of it? So if we take a look at memory systems, there's two important parts of our memory system relevant to this issue, right? They're called explicit memory and implicit memory. So explicit memory, also called declarative memory, requires what we call conscious encoding. That means that we're actively remembering it. We're actively processing it in the higher centers of our brain to remember. Implicit memory, on the other hand, also called non-declarative memory, does not require conscious encoding. It is, in effect, effortless remembering. And it actually acts almost more like imprinting. So if you think about silly putty, when we're kids, we used to play with silly putty and mush it against our hands, and you could see the imprint of our veins onto the silly putty. So implicit memory imprints in a very similar way that our veins do on silly putty. Implicit memory imprints into our minds and our bodies and our brains. Now, it shows up more like a reaction than a thought, right? Because it's never being processed in these higher centers, these higher cognitive centers of our brain in the first place. So, implicit memory is really important in the first 2 years of life in particular because we don't have language during that time. Neuropsychologist Ingrid Cordon and her colleagues explain that in fact implicit memory may be more durable than explicit memory for this reason, because we can't verbally express it. Instead, it shows up in our actions and behaviors, and it becomes almost woven into the fabric of who we are. You can imagine that it might be difficult to discern actions and behaviors that are coming out of implicit memories versus actions and behaviors that are just part of our temperament, right? So she goes on to say that this durability may actually also be adaptive. From a survival standpoint, if you are facing some kind of danger and you have just a reaction to it rather than sort of a higher cognition or thought about how to respond to it, that's a safer way to go. It's more adaptive for you. Okay? So we can see that this type of memory is both adaptive and durable, and it emerges like a reaction. We don't even necessarily know it's happening. And this circles back to this main question: why can't we just excise these memories that no longer serve us? Well, because if they were encoded through implicit memory, meaning they didn't require any kind of effort, then we may not even know their memories. We may not even know when they're happening. We may not know their cues. We may not know when they've sort of taken over how we're moving through the world. It becomes hard to track them because, again, they're just sort of like reactions. So in order for us to begin to build new learning or change those patterns, we have to make the implicit explicit. Right? It has to go from this body imprinted memory into something that we can think consciously about. And this is tricky. Again, we can't process implicit memory by thoughts because they never existed in our thoughts in the first place. They've always existed in the body, where they were imprinted and where they received their cues. So in order to work with these kind of resilient and often kind of stingy memories, we have to go into body therapies. So next time I'm going to talk to you guys about what are these body therapies. They're generally thought of as a branch called somatic psychology or somatic therapies. I'm going to help you think about what they are and what they mean and how they might be different than talk therapies and where they might overlap. All right, that's it for the meantime, and see you next time. Thanks for listening.